Hello Cancer, great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Cancer.
Take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, friends, family, and I hope you have a great time celebrating with them. So I was shuffling the cards for you earlier, and you have some really interesting messages coming out. The messages were very specific too, so I don't know if it's like going to appeal to or be relevant to a large majority of you, or just, you know, a few that are watching. But let me just first of all, the first message that I got here, if you are dealing with somebody who is like at a distance from you, if you are romantically involved with them, okay? And they're saying somebody that is either like in another country or just in a different geographical location from you, like a long distance relationship. And this person as well could be culturally, linguistically, different from you. So they might, you know, I see a lot of interracial couples. I see a lot of people dating outside of their race, that outside of their culture. And they're also saying this person has very, very expressive eyes. So their eyes sparkle and light up when they're happy. And their eyes kind of scrunch up when they're very, very sad. Or, you know, they start to like, you start to see the tears forming and their eyes glisten when they're very, very sad. So this person wears their hearts on their sleeves and they're very, very expressive. I feel like emotionally very expressive. If you're dealing with somebody like that, what's happening is I feel like they're kind of skeptical about you. And they're going to want you to step up. They're going to need some type of a grand gesture from you in order to trust you, in order to continue to be with you. So I feel like they might make demands on you, or they might tell you, I'm tired of the talk. I want concrete action. So I feel like, you know, you're kind of skating on thin ice. That's what it feels. So if you're dealing, that's what it feels like to me. So if you're dealing with somebody like this, I feel like you need to make a grand gesture. You need to, you know, give them a lot more of your undivided attention and go from there, okay? And then I'm also sensing as well, for some of you, it says like being misunderstood. So for example, the message that I'm getting here is you're nice to people. You generally are very likable, very amicable, and you like to create a harmonious environment in your midst where you try to include everybody. You don't want anybody to feel segregated or sidelined or put on the back burner. You want everyone to get along, and you want everyone to have, you know, their moment to shine in the spotlight. So you're not a limelight hogger, okay? And because of that, you're very, very genial and very nice to people. And I feel like this is where you're misunderstood. So for example, you're nice to somebody and they think that you like them. And then they try to, you know, shut that down. If they're in a relationship, they might say, oh, my boyfriend or my girlfriend might not appreciate that. And you're just like, oh, I'm just asking out of, you know, that sense of camaraderie. So I feel like you're misunderstood there. And then if you're nice to your exes as well, you're going to give them false hopes, okay? So keep in mind, this is the month where we really need to be very deliberate with our actions. And we really need to, you know, think beyond just their actions, but think about long-term consequences and long-term repercussions. So it's not a month to flirt if you are already in a relationship, because I feel like things might spiral out of control because you're going to be misunderstood. And I also feel as well, if you are in a position of power, like you have people that are working under you and your reputation is, you know, you're constantly like, you're a public figure and you're constantly in the limelight. You have to be extra careful about what you do, what you say. And you also need to keep yourself a little bit more contained so that you're not putting yourself in a position where others can misunderstand you. So, you know, err on the side of being candid, okay? Err on the side of safety. Say less rather than more. And I also want to say, like, be very, very careful about not doing things like, for example, if you're like a public figure, be careful with social media, be careful about pictures, be careful about text messages, be careful about, tweeting. So I feel like there are a lot of energies that are resting upon, people looking at your actions, and you have to conduct yourself in a very reserved manner. And I feel like that's going to bode well for you, especially for those who are in a position of power. I'm also feeling as well, you're dealing with family members that are very, very stoic. It's like they're on guard, and they want to project an air that they're okay, that they are self-sufficient, that they are financially well off, that they're able to take care of themselves. And I feel like you're seeing under the veneer, you're seeing that they're struggling, but they're refusing assistance, they're refusing help, and they are incredibly stubborn. Okay, incredibly stubborn. They don't want to admit when they're wrong, and they don't really want to sit around and talk about their feelings. So I feel like you're dealing with somebody in the home environment, family members, whoever it is that you're living with. They might need that emotional release, but I feel like they're keeping themselves very tightly wound up, unable to accept assistance from you or from other family members. And that's going to be, okay? So if you're dealing with somebody like that, I feel like try your best to be jovial, try your best to, give what you can. But if the other person is just not willing to open up, you have to understand that it's a two-way street. So dumping your energy consistently, pushing for them to kind of open themselves up, I just don't feel like it's going to work in your favor. Okay, so realize some things that you can't change about other people and try to move on. Okay, don't waste your energy, don't waste your time. I feel overall this month is going to be quite busy, so let me just say, get proper sleep. You tend to get a little bit cranky when you're sleep deprived, and I also feel as well you tend to be a little bit careless. So I want you to be very extra careful about taking care of yourself first, nurture yourself, getting enough sleep, getting enough rest, so that you're not accident prone and you're not doing things sleep deprived, or when you're not operating at your best. Okay, so let's go into this reading here. And first things first, what we have here is the Fool in the reverse. And this is, doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results, okay? And I'm also feeling as well, let me talk about this in terms of like experimentation. This is not a month for us to kind of like shirk responsibility or, take risk, okay? This is a month for us to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to the choices that we make, the risks that we make, how we want to kind of like follow the herd, and we want to also conduct ourselves in a very conservative manner, err on the side of caution, be a little bit more careful about what we're doing, not take risks, and especially risky ventures, risky avenues are not really going to pan out for you. It's linked up here with the Hierophant, and the Hierophant, first of all, indicates like actions and consequences. It's about, things that have already been tried and true. Whatever is not broken, don't try to fix it. And whatever, this is not really like the month for us to be thinking outside the box and trying to get other people on board with new plans, new ideas, new projects, mainly because you're going to be faced with a lot of resistance, and people are resistant mainly because the energy of this month, we do have a let's cut corners and be okay. I feel like you have to err on the side of caution. You have to do things in a very methodical, well planned out manner, and planning, having a blueprint, having guidelines, checking things multiple times and redoing things, and especially following stringent guidelines and protocol is going to be very, very crucial for you. Do not cut corners. And I also feel there's a lot of movement in this spread. There's a lot of movement happening from your end. And because of that, I want to say as well, be careful about driving, be careful about traffic, be careful about moving violations, and be careful about, just aim to slow down, aim to obey traffic signals, and aim to not have anything in your car that's not supposed to be there. If you have children, make sure they are properly strapped in, for their safety, please. So I feel like there's a lot of movement here, and I feel that it needs to be done in a well thought out, in a tried and true manner, in a conservative manner, so that we're not breaking any protocols, we're not breaking any rules. And I feel like this is something that needs to happen as well in your work environment, okay? What I'm also feeling as well with the Hierophant card, this is a card about family. This is a card about, family tradition. They say as well, some of you grew up or have a non-traditional family, so there might have been, co-parenting. There might have also been like step-parents, step-siblings, stepfather, stepmother, whatever the situation is. I feel like it's not a traditional family structure where there is like, mom, dad, 2.5 children, car in the garage, white picket fence. I feel like it's a very, very non-traditional family. And so your time, if you are gathering for the holiday into different directions, because one person might want to, have the gathering here, and the other person, like for example, if you have siblings, they might have their own families and they want the family gatherings to be in a certain place, whereas your parents want it in a certain place. So there's this tug of war as to who gets to, host the family functions, who gets to be where, and it's almost like a popularity contest. It's almost like a test of loyalty. Where are you going to be with your siblings or with your parents or with your stepmother or with your stepfather? So I feel like there's this dynamic here about somebody testing out your loyalty, and it's not really fair to you. So if you find yourself in that type of an environment, and you're very, very susceptible to wanting to please everybody at the expense of your emotional well-being, so I would say don't engage in that, okay? Tell them, if it's like happening to you in a text message, tell them, you guys pick one place and I will be there, and then stop communication until they decide on a place. If the rest of that conversation is them just trying to bicker amongst themselves and not really deciding on a place, you do not need to engage, okay? Because I feel like you're in danger of wanting to appease everybody, wanting to, play the middleman or the person in the middle, trying to play peacemaker, trying to make everybody feel okay, trying to even overcommit yourself so that you can get to see everybody, so that everyone feels appreciated, so that everyone feels accepted and wanted and needed. And I feel like all of this is going to involve a lot of movement from your end, a lot of work from your end that you don't have the time, the resources, and the energy for. And as a result of it, you're going to be pulled once more in multiple directions because you're at the whims of other people and you're not making these, I want to say like decisions for yourself, for your own emotional well-being, okay? Even if you're not celebrating, I feel like it's just, there's a lot of family issues here, and I feel like they're testing your loyalty, they're testing, where you're going to go, and you don't need to get involved in this. This is very low vibrational type of bickering, and it's not really serving you well, okay? You have bigger, better things to do, and you have more important things that you need to prepare yourself for. So aside from the family situation, what I do feel as well, and let me talk about exes, because that was a message that I felt coming through. I have here this person. So we have here the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is a fire sign. So this is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of communication and messages coming through from this person. And I also feel as well, we have another person, an air sign, an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. So you have a fire sign and an air sign, both of which are exes. And there's going to be some type of standoff. It seems like a standoff, two people coming at you very, very quickly. And there's this energy about confrontation, about like trust issues, as well as where have you been? I needed you. Or, you being nice to them, and then they might get the wrong idea that you want to get back together with them. So be very careful with your communication for this month, okay? Say what you mean and stick by what you say. So that means being very consistent with what you say and be consistent about the actions that are carried out. So if someone invites you and they're like, and it's an ex, do you want to join me and my family for the holidays, or me and my family? The folks are in town. You might have gotten along with them, but then the relationship is you're no longer together. So for whatever reason, I feel like you might not want to say no. You don't want to upset them. You don't want to cause a rift in the family. You don't want them to think of you in a specific way. And so you commit yourself. And I feel like it puts you in a touchy or like a difficult situation, because it's going to feel uncomfortable. And it's going to also, if you have these two people that you're dating or that are exes of yours, they might mistake your kindness for the fact that you might still have feelings for them. So be deliberate, be clear and very, very deliberate about, your feelings, your emotions, and meaning what you say, okay? Don't try to appease other people. It's going to create misunderstandings, and a lot of it is wishful thinking from their end, that you're still available, that you're still interested, that you still have feelings for them. And so it's unnecessary tension, and it doesn't need to happen. I'm also feeling Cancers. I feel like if you have this person here, and this is a fire sign, this is somebody that needs a lot of attention, okay? I don't feel they're a bad person. This is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. This is somebody you're in a relationship with, I feel, for some of you. And I know this is not meant to be a relationship reading, but it's coming out so strongly. I feel like they have suspicions, okay? And whether or not these suspicions are founded, they have a sense of a suspicion that you are not 100% serious with them. And so they're going to want that grand gesture. So this is the person that I felt earlier, somebody that might be very, very different from you culturally, ethnically. They might be coming from afar. And I feel like there's going to be conversations about, if you're at a distance from each other, you're going to hear a lot about them. And they're going to want some type of a solid, big gesture from you to move the relationship forward. And I feel like for some of you, you have so many other things going on for this month that relationship are going to be on the back burner. You might not have the time to communicate with, your loved ones, because family is going to be on the forefront. Career and work is also on the forefront. And as a result of it, this person feels like they need more attention. They need more affection. They need some type of concrete evidence that you are serious about them. They need some grand gestures in order to trust your intentions. And so moving forward, I do feel this is somebody that you might need to expend extra energy to, because they need something from you, okay? And so the other thing that's really occupying your time, aside from family, we do have careers. Many of you, careers are really taking off. And it is also, the last month of the year where there is a lot of work that needs to be wrapped up, that needs to be revisited, that needs to be done, because it's the end of the fiscal year, right? So I feel for many of you, especially for those of you who are in a position of power, in a managerial position, in a position where you are, it's like you're in charge of your domain. You might be an office manager, you might be a program coordinator, you might be a program manager, you might be a supervisor. There is a lot of work in store for you, like, behind the scenes type of work, performance reviews, budgeting, accounting for how much money was spent, accounting for, I want to say, like, finalizing the budget for the next year, having everything kind of wrapped up because it's the end of the year. And as a result of it, there is a lot of work that's going to be just trickling in. And it's work that you've done. So it's like crunch time so that you can get all of it done, send all of it out, finalize everything so that you can move and you can travel, you can take trips, you can unwind, you can decompress. And if this work is not done, there is a lot of travel delays that are going to be in the picture. I also want to say as well, Mercury retrograde, not a great time to travel. If that needs to be done, and then you're pulled in different directions by expectations from other people as well. So for those of you in a position where you have a lot of authority, a lot of power, there will be performance reviews where you are assessing and critiquing or analyzing the work performance of other people. And I feel like you also are in a position where you want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, where you are very understanding of other people's struggles. But if someone constantly like comes in late, they come in late and they leave early, I feel like you see all of these things. And so you're going to need to be very candid and very truthful about performance reviews, okay? Otherwise, you're going to send the wrong message that this behavior is okay. And so I feel like you need to really, I want to say, like, we can't go through life pleasing everybody. We need to do the right thing. We need to call people out when they are messing up. And we need to hold ourselves to high standards of integrity as well. So you might have people working under you that you adore, that you really, really like, but they might not be good workers. So if you're seeing these things and you have to, pick up their slack, that's also going to be a problem further down the line. And so I feel like this is the month where we need to be very, very accountable. And I feel like the accountability is from your end as somebody in a position of power to tell somebody, you can't leave until you get that done. And yes, they might be a little bit sore, a little bit hurt. And if they, are like a friend of yours and you're managing them, I just feel like you need to really draw the line between, professionalism, between holding yourself to high standards of accountability. So that means doing the right thing, even if the messages are delivered, or needs to be delivered in a way where it might hurt somebody's feelings. Does that make sense? So you have lots of things that you need to take care of. And you're starting out this month redoing a lot of things is what I'm feeling. This is like redoing work, going back to a project, something that you thought was done. It didn't meet the requirement, or it missed the mark, or there was like an issue with doing things in a procedurally correct manner. Somebody might have cut corners, worked too fast, cut corners, and I feel like you're going to have to oversee it and you're going to have to redo it. And so whoever it is that made the mistake, you might need to hold them accountable, okay? And I'm feeling as well, because of this heavy energy, this is like heavy workload, needing to bring work home. I'm also feeling as well that you might be, there might be a lot of traveling this month. Don't forget your items, okay? And also be careful as well of theft. If you are parking your car, make sure purses, valuable belongings, especially laptops. This is usually somebody who's very abundant. They dress well, they look nice, they might have expensive jewelry, expensive pieces of clothing. And this is also like theft when it comes to like movement, especially like cars. So you need to make sure that you clear out your car before you park, or at least, lock your cars even so that you don't have stolen belongings, okay? Once again, going back to this card, because this is quite important. A lot of work is piling up. Cancers, take